My name is Madison, and for my Eli project, I founded Sustainabite Labeling, an environmental labeling service and educational platform. According to data that I collected, most students at UCSB take the sustainability of a food product into account when deciding to purchase it. My project is dedicated to providing resources for students to educate themselves on the environmental impacts of the food that they're eating both on campus and in Isla Vista. In the fall, my original goal for this project was to create labels that give food products a rating based on their environmental impact score. I wanted the success of this concept to be measured by a student survey where I would ask if they were able to make at least one environmentally conscious food choice with the help of the environmental impact labels. In order for me to determine if this concept was successful, I wanted the majority of the students surveyed to say yes. To achieve this goal, I developed all of the framework needed to implement my labeling concept in person and at dining locations. I spent most of winter quarter designing an Excel workflow to calculate the environmental impact scores of food based on studies that analyze factors such as greenhouse gases, water stress, land use, and eutrophication. This study gives a score that calculates the environmental impacts per 100 grams of food product. So essentially, I created an Excel page that helps me calculate the impact per the designated weight of the ingredient for the food product that I'm looking to label. Additionally, I designed labels to display this information through a hypothetical QR code. The QR code would bring the consumer to a link that explains the calculations behind the environmental impact score. Although I originally planned on also designing labels for moderate and high impact foods for less sustainable menu items, I ultimately chose to only just create labels that highlight the sustainable options to maintain an open mind to all diets. This choice ultimately led to the rebranding of my project concept, since I now advertise Sustainabite Labeling as a service that is committed to providing sustainable food options and educating consumers on low-impact meal choices. I spent a lot of time during winter quarter designing this brand centered around sustainable food education that would be marketable to restaurants, and designed various flyers, surveys, and social media posts surrounding this theme. Throughout winter quarter, I pitched this idea to UCSB dining and local Isla Vista restaurants to try to implement my labels on their menus. Although I did have a difficult time at first, after reevaluating my communication strategies, I ultimately landed a partnership with the Isla Vista Food Co-op. I had planned on implementing my labels in their deli grab-and-go section and applied for funding through the Environmental Affairs Board to do so. This funding was going to be used towards purchasing the physical labels to put on shelves at the co-op, as well as other tabling items to keep track of consumer data for my labels. I planned on utilizing in-person methods such as tabling and handing out informational flyers at the co-op, where I would increase engagement while also tracking the amount of people that use my labels when making their purchase. Unfortunately, the co-op did have to back out at the last minute due to timing issues with the setup of their new location. This left me without anywhere to implement my labeling service during the beginning of spring quarter. But since then, I think we've been reaching out to other restaurants to try to implement my labeling concept at a different location. Although I haven't been successful in securing another partnership just yet, I have collected a variety of data from UCSB students to evaluate the level of interest in my project and its potential success. Every person that I surveyed agreed that the environmental impact labels would be a helpful resource for UCSB students, and the majority said that the labels would influence their meal choices. This data showed that even though not all students would use the labels and try to eat a more sustainable diet through them, all of them did agree that it would benefit those who are looking to reduce their environmental impact with the labels. Overall, these responses have provided me with valuable insights into the community's positive opinion on food sustainability, and they served as a motivating factor in continuing my restaurant partnership outreach, since it has shown that there's a lot of interest in menu labeling from UCSB students. I've used this data to present my project concept to restaurants to better communicate with them the potential benefits of the environmental impact labeling on their student consumer demographic. During spring quarter, I decided to shift my focus to creating educational content on social media in order to continue my project vision while I looked for a new partnership. I created an Instagram page dedicated to posting information on sustainable meal options and low-impact food swaps in the Isla Vista area. Each week, I post a Sustainabite of the week, which points out sustainable meal options from different Isla Vista restaurants. Additionally, I also have made posts highlighting plant-based options on campus for both the dining commons and retail dining. Over the past 30 days, I've reached more than 560 accounts, and I've partnered with local food influencers who are currently promoting my content by reposting it on their own accounts. This has significantly helped me increase my engagement across the Santa Barbara area for people interested in sustainable food content. In order to increase my outreach through other methods, I started tabling at events in Isla Vista where I've been able to connect with interested students and teach them about the environmental impact of different foods. I track engagement at these events with survey responses, number of stickers handed out, and the number of people who play a food emissions matching game. This game was designed to increase awareness about the hidden emissions behind a lot of popular foods and to involve people in my content. Throughout the entirety of Eli, I've worked on improving my outreach methods to foster more engagement with Isla Vista restaurants. In order to make my labeling service concept more marketable, I've continuously adapted my strategies to fit the feedback that I've received from restaurants, students, and my wonderful mentor. The most difficult part of my project has been enabling others to act and getting restaurants involved with my labeling efforts, so taking the time to reflect on my leadership ability has really helped me influence companies to work with me. As someone who started this project with not a lot of interpersonal communication or networking skills, I was extremely nervous at first. But thankfully, through trial and error, I learned the importance of using correct persuasion tactics, so over time, I got better and better at enabling others to act. After the Isla Vista Co-op dropped our partnership this April, I made the tough decision to pivot my efforts so I could still reach my goal of educating UCSB students on food sustainability options. Even though it was difficult to overcome at first, I've gained a lot of knowledge on how to thrive after being redirected and still be persistent pursuing my original goal of collaborating with a dining location. Although it was hard for me to overcome these unforeseen changes since I spent so much time developing my original idea, I learned that it's important for leaders to be able to effectively adjust their focus and strategies as problems arise. When my project started to become increasingly more challenging during spring quarter, I realized how essential my mentor was because I thankfully had her to lean on when I was feeling particularly unmotivated or uninspired. I typically am a person who likes to figure out everything out on my own, so seeing myself slowly change my mindset to then utilize my mentor and my network as a resource was a big step in my leadership development. Looking forward to the future, I've recently appointed another student to take over in-person communications over the summer, and I'm hopeful that I will find somewhere to implement my labels in the near future. Additionally, I plan on continuing my Instagram page so I can further educate the UCSB community about sustainable dining options and to build up a following to present to Isla Vista restaurants. I'm currently in contact with Backyard Bowls, and they're interested in supporting me in my future endeavors. I'm also optimistic about the staff at the co-op regarding them being able to find a time that works for me to bring my labels to their deli section. Overall, I'm very excited to see what the future of my project holds, and I'm looking forward to continuing to strive towards executing my labeling service. Thank you so much.